Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Ross, Paradigm Reviews. We got Mac, Guerrilla Alliance, Planet X Records with us, and we also had Gaz of the Ancient Visionz blogspot, radio show, reviews, etc. Today, we will be reviewing the film The Night Comes for Us, martial arts action film on Netflix currently. I believe it was released in 2008, a few months ago. And shout out to Matt the Irrefutable for bringing this one to our attention from Planet X Records. You can find him on at Irrefutable Matt on Twitter. And guys, tell me what you think about this one.
Oh man. Well, all I could say is when you have a cast that you pretty much recognize from movies like The Raid Redemption and such, you know what I mean? And you're familiarizing yourself with a movie that that what you're gonna expect, hardcore gritty action, and basically, and that's what they deliver in this one, The Night Comes for Us, it's in straight up action thriller, basically it stars the cast from I'm not gonna say like all of the cast from Raid Redemption, but I believe it was and what was his name? Eco, I think. Yeah, Eco US and Joe Taslim. They were the original two that were used in Raid Redemption. Pretty much they come back in this one. This time instead of cops, they're the villains now, the triads. So I did like what I saw. The story was epic. Everything was good about it, action wise and such. Not much to say. Yeah, I just enjoyed it for what it was. It was freaking amazing.
It was definitely out of control. I gotta say that they cranked it up. As we like to say in several of those fights. Like I wouldn't want to go overboard with the Raid Redemption connections. Obviously, you see Eco, and we're all Raid fanboys. I mean, it's impossible not to be. I wouldn't rank this like as high as the Raid just because you hear there's a couple crossover cast members. Because the Raid just it was like a pioneer in the martial arts genre. It was like one of a kind. We'd never seen anybody go through a building like that from top to bottom, like literally ripping through floor to floor like that, full, with that kind of pace like the Raid had. I wouldn't say this one was quite as fast as the Raid's pace, but it definitely got it done. And there's not as much Eco. Eco's not like a main character, if I remember correctly, in this, like he was in the Raid. I mean, he's definitely in there. He has some big fights, but he's a little bit more of like maybe a secondary character or something like that.
Yeah, this one he's more villainous, I believe.
For sure. Yeah, you got anything to add, guys?
Yeah, pretty much with Mac, I enjoyed it a lot, so it simply did the job for me. But a couple of points that I like to draw attention to it, as you mentioned, the Raid Redemption. It did feel like the spiritual sequel to the Raid movies, like it was the Raid 3 before we get the Raid 3. And I remember talking to Irrefutable about it off air when it first started, and you had the scene in a nightclub and the first action scene. I was, oh man, this is going to be a bit whack. And then after that, and as it moves to the butcher shop, it is just insane from start to finish. One standout scene, I've forgotten the actress's names, but I think she might be possibly French. Her fight with her opposing character in the kitchen scene, I think it's in the third act, that was really well done. That was insane. That's what I enjoyed with the film as well. You had strong characters all around. They were well balanced, good male characters, good female characters, which held you. It was gripping. It didn't, I guess one of the few criticisms I've got, and don't get me wrong, I still really enjoyed it. It was rad. Maybe it didn't quite hold you as much as the Raid. It didn't seem to have quite some of the grit that it had, but it was still an insanely well choreographed martial arts action movie that I'd highly recommend anyone to watch during the holidays.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, Gaz, or also with 2VX. I would never have to rate this as high as the Raid, even though it's like you said, guys, you know, it's a spiritual sequel type. The vibe is there, every, you know, the action, the style, all that, you know. But I would say though, you know, if this is something like basically, I think a future maybe of things to come, maybe, you know what I mean? What you
Yeah.
may, like you said, what you may expect in the Raid 3. So yeah, man, you know, whatever they bring, you know, I'm excited for it. You know, I mean, movie, of course, the vibe is slow at first, but then it picks up its tone eventually, and then, oh my God, that ending.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for sure. I'd say, you know, it was what the boys have called a slow burn. Like, you know, like Gaz says, it's not the type of thing you can judge on the first 10, 15 minutes of that warm up of plot building, because if you just like, you pop it on expecting the raid and, you know, they don't start, you know, ripping through the floors with the assault rifles in the first 10 minutes, you know what I mean? With it. Well, it's like, you know, you might be disappointed if you say like, oh, I expect it to pop off right away. This movie's whack. Like Gaz was saying, you turn it off, you're going to miss a whole bunch of awesome stuff. So I definitely wouldn't, you know, prejudge it right on the beginning, because, you know, let it marinate, you know.
Irrefutable made a good point about the beginning though as well, because we had a chat surrounding the slow start, and he went back and watched it again and said it was that action sequence was done in time to the crud step music, aka dubstep. Sorry, I call it crud step because that's an accurate portrayal of dubstep music for me. But anyway, but he says it's all done in time to the crud step music. That's why they appear a bit slow. So I thought that's quite nice, and I thought even though I didn't enjoy that start to the movie, I still respect that they've tried to do something a bit different. Kind of a different opening tone for the remainder of the movie. But as Max said, or fans, it seriously picks up. You've got to stick with this. As Ross just said, do not judge this movie on the early scenes. You've got to get past that slow burn, and it's well worth it.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, and that's what I was planning on doing, is going back and screening it again, because, you know, it's been a few months for me now, and you know, as you, Matt, were just saying, things could definitely change upon what. I mean, for me, it's like that's kind of the staple of a good movie, right? That you can go back and watch it more than once. Like if you've seen it once, and you're like, it was good, but I saw everything I need to see, and stuff that's like really detailed that you find more and more on every watch, you know. And that's easy to do with action movies. I mean, you're not necessarily going to catch every single little, you know, choreography move, you know, 100 hit combo.
Yeah, it's nice that we're still getting some of these rad action movies that are released, because I do feel we've been lacking that somewhat recently. I sadly haven't saw Sicario 2 yet, so I can't comment on it. I know you and Mac have, and you've said it's awesome. It is on my...
to drop somebody from this stream here.
It is on... Yeah, happy Christmas to you.
Mac, we definitely know who not to invite back for next year.
For the holidays. PXR UK doesn't hold it down in that regard.
We specifically brought Gaz in for this reason, but you're fine. You just said the wrong thing. Yeah, so no, definitely see Sicario too. That could easily be top 5 or maybe even top 3 movies of the year for me. But going back to The Night Comes for Us, I mean, for me, I would say Matt's analysis was dead on. I actually like this better than The Raid 2. You know what I'm saying? The Raid 2 for me was just so much plot, and given that, you know, what you, like we said already, from the standard of Raid Redemption, you know, what that was my exact problem right there. Was I was going into Raid 2 expecting Raid 1, and I'm not saying what they did differently or anything, was just that, but what I was expecting, you know what I mean, did not live up to that. So this, when The Night Comes for Us, I had significantly, you know, lower expectations, because I'm just like, hey, Netflix, whatever, it does have eco, but whatever, you know what I mean, pop it on. And I'm just like, wow, for a Netflix movie, like that was probably one of the best ones. You know what I mean?
At least you didn't have the displeasure of watching Bybust, which me and Caesar did, because we like watched The Night Comes for Us, and then going into Bybust from this, it was just like, man, this is just such a colossal letdown. And I see your points on the Raid Redemption, because it's kind of the same with the slow burn, because that kind of doesn't really pick up until the prison scene where it all kicks off.
Right, in Raid 2, yeah. You know, and I will say the one good thing about that case is at least Five Us made Night Comes For Us looks better, because anybody who'd be critical of Night Comes For Us, it's like, well, why don't you just watch Five Us? You gotta say.
Five Us was just bust.
Yeah, for sure. But highlights of Night Comes For Us, you know, for me, this was like, you know, if the raid is just one project complex building, you know, the Night Comes For Us is like, hey, what does the rest of the universe look like outside of this building, where if this stuff just spilled out onto the streets and, you know what I mean, went on outside, like that's what I was seeing in the Night Comes For Us, you know? Like,
I mean, I think it was good just seeing a movie about, like, you know, the triad, gangsters and all that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And their control during the Golden Triangle, you know, gang wars and all that going on, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's freaking awesome just seeing that whole environment, you know, in the film and all. And then they put that little raid action in there, you know what I'm saying? Just to, like, you know, make it more and a bit entertaining experience. So yeah, man. So end of the day, if I had to give this one that rating, it would have to be I say 8.5 out of 10. You know, I got my enjoyment out of it for what it was. So yes.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, a couple of highlight scenes real quick. You know, like I was saying, as far as like taking it outside of one setting, like, you know, the Raid Redemption for the most part was like one setting. That van fight, I forget that character's name, but in the back of the van, that was like, dude, you know, that wasn't too far in. I want to say that was like, what, 20, 25 minutes in, maybe 30 minutes in. That back of the van fight, that was crazy. And also that Eco stairway fight, that was like a three-way fight on the stairs when they all squared off and Eco walked up. That I remember that one being sick. That, you know, maybe it was on the way to the end or something. Any highlight scenes for you guys? Or?
Well, I already mentioned one, the kitchen fight near the end. That was just insane. Definitely the van scene, as you said. And I think the moment where it really does amp up, where the guy goes to the butcher store and it all just implodes in the back of the butchers, you just then, seriously fans, when you're watching the movie, you know you're in for something special, and that happens, you're like, oh man, this is insane. You know, if you've enjoyed any of the Raid, as we've been mentioning, Headshot, any of those
Headshot was good.
movies, you'll definitely appreciate this. But I'd say, yeah, the butcher scene, the kitchen scene near the end, of the van scene, as you said, Ross, were the standout moments. I agree with Mac. I'd give it probably about an 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5. I thought it was a very just entertaining action movie. It knew what it was, very well put together scenes, and I'm eager to see what they do next.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I said, for me, this had a little bit better pacing than the Raid 2. You know what I'm saying? I thought it delivered. Like I said, for a Netflix movie, I thought it delivered. This is definitely in the upper percentile of Netflix movies. Probably one of the best ones. Like I was saying, I don't even know how many like original, you know, martial arts action films.
Way too many. Way too many originals.
But they're like super low budget trash. I mean, they're not throwing down.
Ego, you know? Them are pretty butt, man. I mean, that's
the key point with this movie, though, is you don't feel like you've wasted your time, and this is the perfect segue for me to nerd rage about the Predator and Robin Hood movies that were released this year. That are some of the worst of 2018, which we'll talk about on the Ancient Visionz show after this one. But you do feel rewarded for sitting down and watching this movie. That's the key to take away. And I would have paid to watch this in the theater and come out happy.
Yeah, and that exactly made my point right there. What I was exactly about to say is, although it's, you know, Netflix original or whatever you want to say, we both know how that can go. You know, and it's not to say everything they do is bad, but it can go either way for sure. And this one, I was going to say, production value wise, you know, it doesn't look like some super, you know, micro budget indie, which as Gaz and Mac know, I still watch pretty much all of those. You know, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm probably about the last fan who hasn't given up. But this actually looks like a studio budget, you know what I mean? Like, you know, good cameras, good production value, you know what I mean? unlike the bust that was by bust, you know what I mean? They actually delivered. So as guys were saying, this could be a theater film, you know what I mean? And it wouldn't be totally out of place. So it's got a 7.1 on IMDb. I'm going to give it a solid 7. It actually does have an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
nice,
hilarious because Rotten Tomatoes is usually where things get skewered, and it's got an 84% audience score. So yeah, I could see it being anywhere from a 7 to an 8, you know, 8+. As I said, you know, definitely a solid action film. Eco's been popping up all over the place. He was in the Mile 22 with Mark Wahlberg. I watched that. It was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was. I saw that at the theater. Good movie.
So yeah, definitely shout to that stuff. I'm still waiting for the Triple Threat, which I thought we were going to get this year, but I don't actually know if we are going to get it. It's got Michael Bisping, Scott Adkins, I think Eco. Who else is that? Tony Jaa, and maybe a few more people. I don't know if Johnny Yen's in that one. So we'll still be waiting for a Triple Threat. We'll definitely be reviewing that on the show when and if it ever drops. So, but I think that's pretty much it for The Night Comes for us on Netflix, unless you guys have anything else you want to add or shout outs.
I just want to shout out everybody that supported Paradigm Review since we started the podcast. Send us any recommendations for any movies you want us to cover, whether major or indie film, whatever genre as well. And shout out to you, Rosh, and shout out to you, Mac, for holding it down with us as always. Also, check out our other show, Ancient Visionz Radio, where we will be live in a couple of minutes. We do a lot more movie-focused interviews on there. We also cover underground hip-hop and other underground music and comics too. So just hit us up. Everybody have a rad Christmas and a good start to the new year. And don't forget to follow us all on the social media handles. Mine is ancientvisionz@gmail.com, and @GazVisions is my Twitter handle. Peace out, y'all.
Yep, absolutely. And definitely check out Gaz's blog at Ancient Visionz. You can follow me at Ross Tracy PXF on Twitter, and we'll have more links coming involved with all that stuff. We'll definitely be doing comics, gaming, Planet X games, all that stuff on Gaz's radio show over there. So you guys will know about that. We'll have all the links cross-platform promote and things of that nature. Make sure you like, subscribe. Definitely leave us any recommendations for what you want to get reviewed in the comments. And yeah, as guys were just saying, I do want to make an effort to get more indie films on here as well. So we will have a bunch of that stuff. We've interviewed a bunch of indie filmmakers, so we'll hopefully have some of their work spotlighted and featured. And yeah, we're going to make an effort to get a mix as well. So Mac, any links or anything you want to drop? PlanetXRecords.net. New project out, you know, Alpha Hermetics, you know, out now on iTunes, Everywhere.
CD Baby, everywhere, you know, hard copy
Everywhere.
now available. So yeah. Other than that, you know, there is an indie review coming soon, and so yeah, man. Yeah,
so we'll probably have one more Paradigm review for the year. I just sent Mac and Gaz their homework assignments. So once they get that in, hopefully if we can make time next weekend, we'll be doing our last one for the year.
Let's just say I'm on page 1 right now. Stick good. So yeah.
It'll be a surprise genre. It will be a different genre from anything that we've done yet on the channel. So we'll pretty much just say that. And definitely look out for those Planet X Games reviews. Those will be coming 2019 with all new arcade action shooters. I'm Ross. This is the Paradigm Review Show, Planet X Films. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.